everybody, my name is Kelsey and we're about to get very, very nerdy with my February haul. So this will be one of the smallest hauls I've ever done. It will be the smallest haul I'm gonna do this year. I can almost guarantee you that. So don't get used to this, but I kind of put myself on a little bit of, I'm not gonna call it a buying ban, but I put myself on a buying restriction in February just to see if I could do it. So like, obviously I've got books here, but things that I bought prior to the month are fine. Things that came in subscription boxes are fine. Obviously gifts are things that I don't buy myself. If I went somewhere, like our used bookstore has store credit, so if we went there I could use the store credit, but I couldn't like use money on it. So like that's kind of how I went about it. So all of these are either pre-orders, gifts, pre-orders or gifts. That's really where it is. So we don't have that many to get through today, so this will be a relatively shorter video for me, but let's dive in. So the first two books are from my lovely friend Taylor. She picked them up at a used bookstore near her. We kind of sent each other stuff that we can find, and they're both Joanna Lindsey books. So we have Make Me Love You, and then we also have Heart of a Warrior with this, if I can get it, look at that step back. Oh, how beautiful. So this book really starts with a duel, actually 3 duels. They're between Robert Whitworth, the Earl, and Lord Dominic Wolfe, who have dueled 3 separate times. And the Prince Regent is like, I'm done with this. So he orders them basically to get, like, their families are going to combine via marriage. And whoever decides to not do this is going to forfeit their land. So Robert Whitworth's sister, Brooke, is sent to marry the Lord. And he's like, this is going to be great because he's not going to accept that. And she is very determined to make him love her and also to like get away from her family because she can't stand her family. And of course, Dominic is like, no, I'm going to scare her away so that their land is going to be taken away. And so it's kind of like a battle of wits, if you will. And I am very interested in this. It sounds very interesting. I love the idea of like duels in the sense of like they're just enemies and they're going to become very good friends, I think. So I'm very interested into that story. And then Heart of a Warrior takes place actually in California, which I think is very interesting. So we follow our main female lead, Brittany Callahan, who sees this guy, Dalden, turn up on her doorstep, and he claims to be our barbarian warrior, and she's like, sure, you can be whatever you want, you're just cute. And he actually is. And he comes from a place where he's used to the women like always obeying, and she's like, I'm not gonna do that. So I don't know what the plot itself is going to be between the two of them, but because it doesn't give me any idea on the back, but it does say that like they're gonna obviously, there's going to be a physical aspect before there's an emotional aspect, I think, to their story. But I love Joanna Lindsey. This one looks amazing. And I haven't read anything by her that's not like a Regency style story. So I don't really know what we're getting into with this one, but I'm very interested in it. And I love me some Joanna Lindsey. So thank you so much, Taylor, for my books. They're very much appreciated. And I can't wait to add them to the never-ending Joanna Lindsey stash that I have. The next book is the book that I got in my, I think it was January Fairy Loot is what I unboxed. So I'll leave that unboxing up above. As always, if you don't want to know what it is, here's your warning. But that book was Spice Road, and it is by Maya Abraham. And it's just this absolutely beautiful, stunning Fairy Loot edition. I love it so much. It says here on the back, whoever controls the spice controls the kingdom itself. So this book follows our main character Amani, who takes place in this desert city where spice is connected to magical powers, and so she can wield a dagger like no other, and for that she has gained the reputation to be the next generation's shield battling jinn, ghouls, and other monsters spreading across the sands. And so her brother basically ends up taking this spice and like stealing it And so her reputation is in shatters because of that. But then she hears that like he actually is alive, but now he's selling it to like other countries. And so she joins the group that's going to get him. And she and this guy, who is a powerful beast seer, get a connection. So it's a desert fantasy. I'm not always the biggest fan of desert fantasies, but there is something about this that I am very interested in. I did read a book recently where there was a desert aspect to it that I didn't actually hate. So I am interested to dive into this one. And Fairy Loot, I've been very surprised by the books that Fairy Loot gives when I read them and I don't know anything about them and then end up loving them. So I'm very excited about this one. All right, and then I've got some pre-orders here. So I have the paperback pre-order of Something Wilder by Christina Lauren, which did come in. I'm collecting all of their books via paperback. So this one is the book that actually came out last year. It didn't come out in paperback until this year. So that's what's going to happen this year with their book that is coming out. I think it's called True Love. So I'll have to wait a year until that comes out in paperback, which is fine because like that's my entire Christina Lauren section. And I have quite a few. So we have other things to read in the meantime. So this book follows our main two characters, Lily and Leo. And Lily is the daughter of a famous treasure hunter, Duke Wilder. And so he basically has never been around and sold her beloved ranch many years ago. And so in order to make ends meet, she takes these hand-drawn maps and guides a bunch of tourists on treasure hunts throughout the desert. And that's how she makes a living. And she's trying to get enough money so that she can buy this ranch back. And one day, this guy, Leo, shows up, who is like the one that got away, the one that like really broke her. It says right here, her first love walking back. And Leo considers Lily one of his biggest regrets as far as like them ending. And so he comes with like a bunch of friends and something on the trip goes awry. And then it sounds like the treasure maps maybe actually are real and not as much of a gimmick as they thought. So it's a second chance romance between these two in the desert with treasure hunters. So, or with treasure maps. They're treasure hunting. So I'm very interested to see where we're gonna go with this. It actually does sound really interesting. The idea of like, again, desert stories is not my favorite thing in the world, but like this might be a good like summer romance. I'm going to the beach a lot this summer, so I'm feeling like this one might be like a beach read. So I'm very interested in this one. And I also I love Christina Lauren. So I finally got my hands on the paperback of this one. And then I got my copy of Radiant Sin by Katie Robert, which is the most recent book in her Dark Olympus series. This one is I'm part of her Patreon, so she sends paperback copies of her books to her patrons as they come out. So I have a copy of Wicked Beauty and this one. So I think I need to get my hands eventually on a physical copy of Neon Gods and Electric Idol, because I'm just gonna keep getting these books every time they come out. So I might as well have a matching set. So this one follows Apollo and Cassandra. So in this world, which I've talked about a bunch, basically there are these 13 that are kind of like the ruling parties of the city of Olympus, which are kind of like the main big Olympic gods. Here they are. They are Aphrodite, Hermes, Hephaestus, Dionysus, Demeter, Athena, Artemis, Ares, and Apollo. And then you've got the main four, which are Zeus, Hera, Hades, and Poseidon. So you've got a good number of people. So Cassandra just really wants out of the city, and Apollo is the city's spy master, and he basically strikes a bargain with her where there's a new power in Olympus, which I don't remember who it is, but there's a party, and he basically asks her to be his +1 because he really trusts her for some reason. And so she reluctantly agrees on the bargain that he will help her and her sister get out of Olympus when this is over. And he's like, sure, yes, fine. And then of course a relationship blooms between the two of them. So I love me a good book in the Dark Olympus series. I love this one. It's definitely my favorite by Katie Robert. So I got my copy of Radiant Sin, and we'll get to it at some point, hopefully soon. The next book is from my lovely husband. We celebrated our kind of like, we don't really celebrate Valentine's Day. We celebrate our dating anniversary when we started dating, because it takes place a week after Valentine's Day. And so that's like a way of us to be like, oh, we kind of still celebrate Valentine's Day, but we celebrate it on a day that's more important to us. Anyway, he got me this book as a present for that, and that is Warrior. And this is by Lisa I'm going to say this so wrong. This is My Path to Being Brave. So this is a story about a reporter, and I want to read you the very top of the inside because I feel like that's the best way to describe it. It says, Lisa chronicles her iconic journey from dealing with harassment as a sports broadcaster to chasing bad guys for Inside Edition, and proves that through small daily acts, bravery is a muscle we all can strengthen over time. So she was a sideline reporter for Monday Night Football and had to deal with a lot of stuff. Like Chris was telling me about some of the stuff in here, and I would check into trigger warnings before you dive in, just because like I know for a fact it's going to talk about harassment. I believe it talks about miscarriage. It talks about just like a bunch of really tough situations being a female reporter, specifically in like a male dominated sports realm. So I'm very interested in this story. I think it's going to be a tough one to get through just because of a lot of stuff that she's had to go through, but it is a memoir about her life and the situations where she, you know, was brave and how she came to be that. Because it says on the back here that she gets bombarded by emails daily by people who are asking how to be brave and how to just like deal with the pressures of life. And so this is her chronicling her life and the stories of, you know, how to kind of stand up for yourself. So I think it's going to be this is definitely going to be like a relatively hard-hitting memoir, I think, but I'm very interested to dive in. I always love it when Chris finds books for me because I've never heard of most of them, the ones that he finds. So I am so interested in this one, and I expect this will be a very tough read, but I am excited to dive in anyway. And the very last book that I have to show you guys today is another pre-order, one of my last pre-orders for February, and that is Lola at Last, and this is by J.C. Peterson. This is the author who wrote Being Mary Bennett, and this is not connected. It's not part of that series, but it follows the same family. So this one follows Lola Barnes, who is a sister of Marty Barnes, who was the main character in that story. So this is a reimagining, if you will, of the characters in Pride and Prejudice. There's nothing in this story that is a direct relationship to Pride and Prejudice. The first one did have that, but this is kind of her reimagining, the author's reimagining of the Lydia Bennet character. So I do want to kind of read the back because I think it's interesting. It says, Lola's Guide to Discovering Yourself. Almost burn down a boat, ditch your fake friends, fall for the nerdy boy, discover your inner hiking goddess, become a brand new you. So Lola has had a very interesting start. I think a very interesting start to the summer. So there's been a scandal that's kind of tanked her social career. She kind of maybe possibly burned a boat down, and she like has alienated herself from a lot of her friends. Her fake friends have kind of left her, and so she's left with this ultimatum: jail time or spending the summer with the nonprofit Hike Like a Girl. So everyone expects her to just fail at this, but she ends up going to this nonprofit, and through that finding new friends, finding a boy that she might like, and really kind of discovering the new her. This is a character that I very much enjoyed reading about when I was reading Being Mary Bennett, so I'm very interested to see her story. It is a very much a coming of age kind of discovering yourself vibe, so I am very excited about this. This one might be one that we read closer to the summer just because it's giving me all of the summer vibes, but I was very excited about this one when I discovered that there was more from this author with the same set of characters. I don't think you need to have read, you know, Being Mary Bennett, because again, it's not technically a sequel. It just follows some of the same characters. Maybe a companion is the best word for this one, even though like on Goodreads, it doesn't really connect the two, but like the characters, it's the same, it's from the same family, you know, so it is a companion. I don't think you will have had to read Being Mary Bennett, but I will let you know for sure once I get around to this one. But yeah, I had to get my hands on it because I enjoyed Being Mary Bennett so much. And that's it. Those are all of the books that I picked up in the month of February. I'm going to see how long I can hold on to this. I'm already thinking that March is going to be way more, but I'm going to keep the idea of this, of not spending as much money. So we'll see how that works. I can already tell you March is gonna already have more than February, but that's because we went to our used bookstore, and we always get a good chunk there. But I hope you guys enjoyed. As always, let me know if you've read any of the books that I mentioned in this video, or if there is a book that you recently picked up that you were just so excited about. I would love to know. But if you like this video, and I very much hope that you did, don't forget to give it a big thumbs up and subscribe down below if you'd like to be part of this awesome growing family. I've also got all my social media down there, as well as other fun bookish links, so check all that out, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye!